Hello, Jeff Brozovich here from LongRangeOnly.com with another how-to video. We often get asked, how do you like to set the zero stop on your NightForce scope? Today I have a 5.5 by 22 by 50 NightForce NXS. I'm going to show you how I like to set the zero stop on the elevation turret of this scope. So once you have your scope mounted on your rifle and you go to the range to zero, you just use your turret to get your zero on your elevation and your windage. But in the event that you would run into a zero stop already set too tight, depending on the cant of the rail of the base you're using, you may need to take the cap off and loosen the zero stop, give yourself some more room to adjust. To do that, we simply loosen the two screws in the front and back of the turret cap, usually about 2.5 turns. I don't take them clear out, I just loosen them up good. Pull your cap straight up and off. Now, if you can't reach your zero and you can't get low enough and you're hitting your stop, you loosen these 4 screws right here. These are the screws that lock the clutch on your zero stop. Just loose about 1 turn each, and that should loosen your clutch to where it spins freely. If your scope has the screwdriver slot in the top, or some might have an Allen wrench, you can go ahead while you're at the range and do your zero, and just by turning your elevation and windage 1 click at a time like this. If it doesn't have that, you may need to just back your clutch off counterclockwise, tighten it back down, put your elevation cap back on, and go ahead and zero. Once we've achieved our zero, remove the cap again, being very careful not to turn anything that clicks here. So what we'll do is loosen this cap, the clutch, screw it clockwise until it hits. It'll come to a stop and hit. Some people will tighten it right there, and then you can put back on, line up your zero, and that way every time you come down to the bottom you're going to line up exactly on zero. I prefer to go till I hit my stop clockwise, back off just a little bit, maybe let's say 1/8 of a turn counterclockwise, and lock it down there. Now when I tighten these screws and lock this down, I'm being very careful not to turn the center shaft of the scope. So, doesn't have to be real tight, just snug them down, and being careful not to let that scope turn. Hold it with this hand. Snug up your screws. I believe they call for 4 inch-pounds. I've made me a special little Allen wrench here to do this kind of stuff, where I've cut an Allen wrench off, makes it shorter. I'm not as apt to put a lot of grunt on it that way, so I can just, it's a nice handy little wrench to use for this. Once I've got that locked, again, making sure I haven't turned my center shaft of my scope, I line up my zero with the indicator here, push my cap all the way back down. Bring your screws in evenly till they just touch, and seeing that they're about the same depth on each side, I'll now snug them down, making sure my zero line stays aligned. Now when I come down, my zero is hitting about 3/4 of a minute below zero, but I come back to my zero. The reason I like to do that is, if I lined it up so it stopped exactly on zero, that might be just fine, but I kind of have the feeling that it could be preloading. You know, you've got the scope maxed out, it could be putting some load on there. I'd rather that there was no tension against anything when I ask my scope to zero. The other advantage to doing it this way, let's say the next time we go to the range, and I'm like, man, I'm about 1/4 minute high, I need to go down 1 click at 100 yards. I can do that, go down that 1 click, now I'm zeroed perfectly, and simply just break these screws loose here. Again, reset my zero. I don't have to pull the cap off and mess with the clutch. So it gives me some adjustment there without having to go back in and mess with the clutch. And that way I know every time I come down, I go past my zero, couple clicks, come back, that's where I'm zeroed. That's it. That's how I like to do it. That's how I do all my scopes. So that's all there is to it. That's how I set my zero stops on all my long range rigs. I hope you found this video helpful. Hope it helps some of you get your scopes dialed in the way you want to use them. And come check us out on longrangeonly.com. Check out our YouTube channel and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook. And till next time, we'll see you again. Thanks for watching. Jeff Brozovich signing out.